All right, week 2 of our political parcel tracker. Our producer's pile this week increased by, well, only a handful. Still a lot here today to show you. And since we first showed them to you last week, we've gotten a few questions about matters, or mailers, I should say, specifically about what they can and what they can't say. Things like, well, take a look at this one. Priscilla Giddings mailed ads for election with an Idaho Air National Guard A-10 in the background, probably a violation of the Department of Defense directive policy. So this is the mailer they're talking about here. You can see Giddings in front, standing in front of a jet there, A-10, I presume. She's a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force Reserve, and you can see that I said in front of that A-10 Warthog. We looked into that viewer claim via the Department of Defense directive policy, and for those of you who don't know, it's a document that details what you can and cannot do as an active or retired service member in terms of politics. So if we're going off those rules, no, she's not in violation. It says candidates can mention their military rank or grade and military service, their affiliation, but they must clearly indicate their retired or reserve status. However, there are several rules that say candidates cannot be in uniform in any political ad, whether that's on TV or in print, and obviously she is not. So Giddings is not breaking any rules by posing in front of an Air Force plane, an A-10 there. So that's because she included the required disclaimer at the very, very bottom, if you look at the picture, reiterating that by including the plane in the ad, it does not imply an endorsement by the Air Force nor the Department of Defense. So that's kind of how that played out. So no, she is not breaking any policy there. But speaking of political mailers, we told you how candidates are able to legally obtain your name and mailing address during election season. Because if we heard from many of you, mailers are hitting mailboxes hard right now, and they get those from a database when you just register. They have all that on file, and it's public information. We told you what to do if you want to opt out of those, specifically with the GOP mailers. And that got Sam in Boise asking this question. You mentioned how to be removed from the Republicans' role. How do I go, where do I go to get the Democrats to leave me alone, says Sam, or asked Sam. So we reached out to Idaho's Democratic Party, who gave us a similar answer. If you'd like to opt out of the mailers that they're sending you, all you have to do is contact them, and they will do their best to, well, identify them and then contact the candidates on their own and ask them to remove you. However, just like the Republicans, that may not stop you from getting these mailers in the first or in the long run, because some campaigns, well, they're separate entities, and you may still receive some of these mailers, even if you choose to opt out. So enjoy them, make placemats out of them, whichever. All right, this continues to be a question we get at least once a week in our inbox. There still seems, though, to be some sort of confusion. Why are Idaho voters required to only vote for candidates in their party? I would really like to vote for the person, not the party, says Diane. Okay, so that email Diane sent us over the weekend. The simple answer is, well, it goes back to 2012. The Idaho Republican Party decided they wanted to have a closed primary election. They sued, and then the legislature changed it in 2011, so in 2012 they had their first closed primary, meaning only registered Republicans can vote in the primary for Republicans. The GOP, believing Republicans, after all, should rightfully choose Republican candidates to represent them in the general election. So on Election Day, if you're registered with a Republican Party, you will get that Republican ballot handed to you with only Republican candidates. If you're registered as a Democrat or you're unaffiliated, you're going to get a ballot with other remaining candidates, like all of them. And that changes in the general election when everyone will get the same ballot regardless of party status. So is it too late to change your affiliation for the primary? Well, yes, it is, unless you've never voted in an Idaho election before or you were registered as unaffiliated. If that's the case, well, you can still register with the party of your choice on Election Day. By the way, the primary election coming up in 29 days. It's Tuesday, May 17th. You can still register to vote right now online or at the polls on Election Day.